Hello, my name is Cameron,
Hi, my name is Carolina.
and today we're discussing our paper topic, High School Interethnic Interactions and Prejudicial Discourse in TV Shows. Our objective is to study how TV shows portray prejudicial social and educational interethnic student-student and teacher-student interactions in American and Spanish high schools.
Okay, the following are our research questions. First, based on television series, what kind of hostile high school environment exists in the United States and Spain high schools? How do students of minority groups experience marginalization when surrounded by the hegemonic group? Second, how do these interactions reflect an understanding by students and teachers of how to learn and coexist in a multi-ethnic learning environment? What causes these tensions and prejudicial interactions? Our third research question is how can these shows provide researchers and educators a better understanding of the relevance of racial and class conflicts in real classrooms, and how do they negatively affect the learning environment? Fourth, how can school administrators reflect on these portrayals and criticisms for insight on how to alter the educational structure to create a culturally sensitive and inclusive environment? And lastly, how can teachers prevent discriminatory attitudes in the classroom to reduce experiences of embarrassment, harassment, or neglect by school authorities and students?
So we chose to take on the professional role of an NGO intercultural analyst whose job is to analyze the mistakes and the lessons of the educators and students from the two television series and reflect on these questions and make recommendation changes. The potential stakeholders interested in our report are school administrators and local educational authorities on a policy implementation level, teachers on a day-to-day basis level in the classroom, and students who depend on educational institutions to engender well-rounded global citizens both on the academic and personal level. This topic carries critical social relevance not only for the United States and Spain, but for all minority groups seeking equal opportunity for quality education. You see, education is one of the main foundations that shapes a person's identity and ideology. We want to demonstrate how changes in this segregationist and prejudicial habits in high schools can be beneficial for teachers and students alike and create a more culturally considerate environment that offers paths of prosperity for each kind of student.
In terms of methodology, we watch and analyze specific scenes from two different TV series that display prejudicial interethnic interactions. First, we have All American, which is based in Southern California, specifically Beverly Hills and South Crenshaw. A star high school football player from South Crenshaw, a low-income and gang-prevalent neighborhood in LA, is recruited to play for Beverly Hills High School, and his world collides with the realm of high society families. The second show is called Elite. It's a Spanish show based in Las Encinas, a fictional town in the mountains, Spain, and follows a similar plot. Three low-income minority students, one being Muslim, receive a scholarship to attend an elite private school. We analyze the transcripts and on-screen gestures to identify clear red flags of the lack of cultural sensitivity and awareness and apply these instances to the problems that affect American and Spanish school systems with the hope of understanding why they arise. Then, we draw our research on two articles that focus on racial linguistic code switching culture clashes in multicultural classrooms, the challenge students, immigrants in the United States face, and the need for culturally responsive teacher training.
We will now show you guys a few clips that represent some of the results that we have found.
I think you and Asher play the same position.
What's up, man?
Oh, receiver, huh?
Yeah, broke the school record for receptions last season.
Me too.
So how are you liking Beverly so far?
It's okay, I guess.
I know it probably feels like lost footage of rich kids from Instagram, but it's not so bad once you give it a chance.
I'm sure it'll grow on me.
Hey, so lay it on me. Crips or Bloods?
Excuse me?
Dying to check out a Crip Walk for real. I've only seen one on YouTube.
Yo, he's just joking, man. Ignore him.
Asher, you would know Crip Walk's the bitch in the damn white ass.
Nah, they sound like a joke to me, bro.
Don't be so sensitive.
Sensitive.
One of the clearest examples of cultural insensitivity and white supremacy is the interaction between Spencer and his new teammates in the yard. So Asher, who's a privileged white male who also plays on the football team as the same position as Spencer, asks him, Crips or Bloods? These are two prominent African American gangs active in Crenshaw and the LA area that have caused a lot of pain, suffering, and bloodshed among its community members. It's extremely inappropriate for any white person to assume that any black male from Crenshaw must be associated with this kind of gang, reminding them of the different realities of each person in the scenario and the hierarchy embedded within it, and to assume that this topic can be joked about. It indeed reflects on how many students from white or higher socioeconomic communities are virtually unaware of the reality of a person like Spencer.
Is there a problem, officer?
License and registration, please.
Why? I wasn't speeding or anything.
You made an illegal turn at a red light. License and registration.
What? How far back? What turn?
What are you doing, man? Just give him what he asked for. What are you boys doing in this neighborhood?
You serious right now? We've done nothing wrong, man. Jordan, this is harassment. Okay, my mom is a lawyer.
Step out of the car, please.
What?
I need you to stop resisting and get out of the car now.
Okay. I know my rights. Okay?
Stand aside, please.
I cannot believe this. Just wait till my mom gets a load of you, big man. I'm gonna call my mom.
Jordan, you do what I tell you to do. I don't give a damn who your mom is.
Officer, sir?
Officer,
Get out of the car!
I'm showing you my hands, alright? I'm unarmed.
Hey, look, restraining them ain't necessary, okay? Walk around. Hey, chill, chill.
Stop resisting.
Oh!
Reading the transcript, Jordan's reactions mirror those of a white person who has no reason to fear the cops. One would never think he was African American without watching the scene itself. Spencer says that by the time he was 8, my mom's made it clear. Cops like that, they see my blackness as a weapon, so talk slowly, do you do as they ask, you keep your hands visible, and you never run. Jordan did not realize he was in any kind of danger by arguing with the police the way that he did. Coach Baker, his dad, wrongfully chose to not educate Jordan on how to behave when confronted by the police. He thought that he had bought Jordan a little bit of time before he had to face the ugly side of being a black man in America. Both Jordan and Coach Baker's actions demonstrate how disconnected these two communities are, all contributing to the level of discrimination and animosity that minority groups endure.
No, papá. Ya, perdona. No te vas a molar, ¿no? Voy a llamarte papá.
Just minutes after stepping into the building, one of the students introduces himself to a Muslim girl, Nadia, by saying, "Hello, beautiful." Since the girl doesn't reply back, he goes on to say a racist joke. "Shit, sorry, you're gonna blow up because of what I said, right?" Nadia decides to ignore him and step away. This inappropriate comment is the first sign of the lack of awareness and multiculturalism that exists in the school, and it is just the beginning of multiple offensive and degrading moments that the series presents that bring to light the segregation and prejudicial habits in this and in other high schools.
Nadie me había dicho nada del pañuelo. ¿Por qué ahora?
La norma dice que no se permite ningún tipo de complemento.
Mi hijab no es ningún complemento. Además, aquí todos llevan cosas. Bolsos caros, relojes de oro.
Esos son adornos. No significan nada.
Sí, significan muchas cosas. Significan tengo más dinero que tú, más estilo que tú, soy mejor que tú.
Nadia, de verdad que nosotros te entendemos, pero...
Miren, si lo entendieran, no me pedirían que renunciara a mi cultura ni a mi religión.
Nadia, piénsatelo. Está en tu mano. Pero si mañana vuelves así, no tendremos más remedio que expulsarte.
The principal, showing that her lack of cultural competence, gives her an ultimatum and tells Nadia that if she shows up to school again with her hijab, she would be expelled. This scene shows the disconnect that exists between administrators and minority groups and how the administration prioritizes the desires of the wealthy Spanish students. The principal is not only asking Nadia to remove an accessory, but is forcing her to remove a part of her identity and her culture. A multicultural environment cannot exist if the teachers and administrators do not educate themselves and respect differences.
Some of the conclusions that we found are the following. First, clearly the majority groups, the hegemonic groups, experience preconceived stereotypes based on their own ethnocentric ideologies, which is completely problematic, both for students, but even worse for teachers and administrators. Second, the minority is clearly not a priority in the schools. These minority communities feel so damaged and heavily neglected by either Greater America or Spain itself that they feel the need to almost fend for themselves. And because of this, there creates an even greater division between the cultures. There's a feeling of requirement to leave one behind in order to assume a higher status, such as Coach Baker in All-American, instead of creating intersectional identities, where you can take pieces of different parts of your life that form who you are today, instead of just deciding between one or the other. There's also no kind of reconciliation for the reality of intersectional identities within either of the shows. So the disconnect of the distinct communities contribute to this level of discrimination and animosity that minority groups endure. And the culture insensitivity that a lot of these students experience, specifically the minority students, is dependent on the fact that there's a lack of education in schools and among the teachers and administrators of how to deal with issues of discrimination. The lack of cultural sensitivity is a clear sign that students are not being properly educated on how to interact with those that are different instead of seeing them as lesser than they are. And to make matters worse, many of the teachers also evaluate other cultures according to preconceptions originating in the standards and customs of their own hegemonic culture. So, in all, clearly, students, administrators, and teachers must receive diversity training in order to be able to respect and coexist with minority students, as well as create a more inclusive environment in which teachers can teach minority students in a proper way depending on their own backgrounds that may be different from other students in the classroom.